Hey everyone, this week's topic has come to me through popular demand. It's bipolar disorder. What is it, and what do we do if we have it? So stay tuned. So like I said, this week's topic is bipolar disorder, and I've heard from many of you that you've either gotten the diagnosis of this from your physician or your therapist, or you know someone who has, and you had a lot of questions about it. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to explain the differences between bipolar 1 disorder, bipolar 2 disorder, dysthymia, cyclothymia. I know it sounds like I'm speaking another language, but I promise I'm not. But I think the best way to describe this is kind of like a teacher would do it. So I'm going to take it to my whiteboard and kind of let you see the differences between each and how you can meet criteria for one and not another, and how we as clinicians differentiate those. And I think this will really make it clear, and then we'll talk a little bit about treatment options once we know, okay? I think the easiest way for us to notice the differences of bipolar disorder is if I kind of draw it out. And this is the easiest way for me to learn it when I was in school. So just bear with me, and I hope this helps. And always, as always, leave comments below. Let me know if you kind of like this style, give it a thumbs up, and we'll just take it from there. So the line I'm going to draw right now is kind of like a normal. And they always say this is like a baseline, kind of like if on an average day I feel pretty normal, I'm hanging in here, right? Then up here, we're going to draw mania. As many of you who've just watched my Draw My Life video, you know I'm not an artist, so bear with me. So mania, which many of us have heard about, is kind of an elevated state. We will feel very good about ourselves. We'll feel often, and this is just sidebar, often we won't want to see anybody when we feel like this, because we'll feel so freaking good about ourselves. We don't need to sleep. We're getting stuff done. I am so amazing. We'll have like all these good feelings, right? And we also talk really fast, and we really drive the people in our lives crazy, because that's really hard to live with. If you can imagine being a person down here, being around a person like this is like, it's just too much, right? Does that make sense? And I don't mean that in a mean way, because when we feel like this, we love it. But so that's kind of mania. I know many of you probably heard that term. Now down here, we're going to draw, it's a depressive episode, or major depressive episode. This is really hard to write this way. Okay, major depressive episode. So I know that I talked, I want to say it was like 3 weeks ago, about depression. I have a video about depression, so you might want to check that out. But I will also come back to that, talking about major depressive disorder in a way like this at a later video. So stay tuned. So make sure you subscribe to my channel so you know. Okay, so down here, and we've all had those major depressive episodes. It's my belief that everybody's had a depressive episode in their life. And that's when we feel really low, we don't enjoy things, we may be really tired, we may have trouble sleeping, we may be really hungry, we may not be hungry at all. It kind of depends on how it presents for you. But the main thing is kind of just feeling really down, no enjoyment, and we're very sad, okay? So these are kind of our, not extremes, but these are like the top and the bottom of bipolar disorder, okay? Now I'm going to change colors. So when we talk about bipolar 1, okay? So we start out here and we're like right? We kind of go in between. It doesn't matter if we hit a depressive episode. All that matters is that we touch here and we have at least one manic episode, okay? So we at least experience mania once. That is bipolar 1. So this blue is bipolar 1 disorder. I know that O looks like a blob, but you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so all that matters is that we hit mania at least once. Now, bipolar 2 disorder. We're going to go green for this one. It's like Christmas on here. Okay, so we start out do-do-do, do-do-do, do-do-do. So bipolar 2, the difference between bipolar 1 is we don't hit mania, because if we hit mania, we would be bipolar 1. But we have to have at least one major depressive episode. Just one. So this is bipolar 2. Now I know for many of you, when you hear your diagnosis, they don't really explain to you the difference. So that's kind of how they differentiate. It's all about the mania. If you've had mania, you're bipolar 1. If you haven't, kind of here is kind of a hypomania, they call it, where you feel a little bit happy and excited, but not quite as good as a mania experience, okay? So that's the difference. We have those two. Now I'm going to throw you a curveball. I'm going to give you this one. So this is blue, and I know it's kind of getting a little crazy, but I'll start him in here. Okay, now you would say, you'd think, well, then they don't have bipolar disorder because they don't meet mania and they don't have a depressive episode. And you are right. This is not bipolar disorder. They call this cyclothymia. Now, I'm probably going to spell this wrong, but if I remembered it correctly. So cyclothymia is when we cycle between hypomania and kind of like dysthymia. And now dysthymia, which I'll just write up here because I'm not going to, is a low-grade depression. So it would kind of be like if we just kind of hung in here. That would be kind of what dysthymia is. Are we following? So just to give you a little debrief of all the chaos, if we hit mania, we're bipolar 1. If we don't hit mania and we have a depressive episode, we're bipolar 2. If we kind of cycle in between, it's called cyclothymia. And then if we only have a low-grade depression that kind of goes on for like years of our life, they call that dysthymia. Now, I know that people throw around those terms a lot, and it can be really frustrating as a person getting a diagnosis because we're like, well, what the heck does that mean? And we don't always get a lot of time with our psychiatrists or our psychologists when we have to wait months to see them. I know in other countries, many of you tell me you don't get to see people very often, and it can be really confusing. So that kind of gives you a rough idea of what we are looking at and how we differentiate between the different types of diagnoses, or if we're just depressed, if we have major depression. It kind of gives you, I think that's why I like this, because it gives you a scale. Okay, so we have this diagnosis. Well, now what do we do? The best thing if we have bipolar disorder is honestly to see a psychiatrist or your GP or PCP, whoever your primary care doctor is, or psychiatrist, and get on medication. And I know many of you are like, Katie, I don't want to be on medication. I would do this holistically. But in my experience, bipolar people can be very high functioning. It doesn't affect us. People have this stigma about it. And that's what I'm here to do, right? We're breaking through the stigma of mental health issues. Bipolar disorder, a lot of people are great artists. They run companies. They're very successful. We function at a really high level when we have bipolar disorder, as long as we keep it under control. Yeah, we feel great. Ooh, we're manic. Yay. No, because it really is hard for the people around us, and it can actually lead us to make really poor decisions. One of the symptoms of mania is lacking clear decision-making skills, and people will go out and spend thousands of dollars, or we may quit our job because we believe we're so much better. And yeah, we might be, but we want to be able to make clear decisions, and the best thing to do to stop us from either being so depressed we can't get out of bed and go to work, or not going, we want to keep us in this normal range, and the best way to do that is to get on medication. So that would be my first recommendation. Please see your doctor. Please get a proper diagnosis. Make sure they clearly figured out which you have, what you're struggling with, and that they will give you the medication that you need to get back to a normal baseline for you. And the second thing is to find a therapist like me, someone who you can talk to and you can work through this as you try to figure out, when do I feel like I'm kind of getting manic, or when do I feel like I'm sinking into depression, right? We kind of need to have an awareness so that we know to go to our doctor and say, hey, I'm having these breakthrough symptoms. I'm feeling a little bit more manic than I was, or I'm feeling a little more depressed. We need to have that awareness, right? And I know it's really hard to know all of that and keep all of this going, but it can really help to have someone on your side you can talk to, you can figure it out, and they can work with you so that you have bipolar disorder, but doesn't define who you are. You're doing a bunch of other things, right? And we're living our life. And I hope that this really helps explain bipolar disorder and it differentiates it from the others, because I know it can be really confusing. And leave your feedback below. If any of you suffer from bipolar disorder or know someone who does, let us know what's helped. I mean, if you have a tool that's really helped you, or a way that you notice when you're going into a different episode, let us know, right? We learn from one another. That's what makes our community so great. And stay tuned. I'll be doing more videos like this. I know that a lot of you like these kind of DSM-driven, differential diagnosis kind of videos, and I will keep putting them out. So don't forget to subscribe and give it a thumbs up if you like it. And we'll keep working together towards a healthy mind and a healthy body. Oh, my foot's asleep. It's the best way to describe it. So otherwise it gets confusing. There's so much stuff, you know? It's like,